Exactly 60 years ago, Hugh Hefner published the first Playboy magazine. After 30 different languages the magazine is published in, it is now finally time for the 31st language to be Hebrew. Now the big question is going to be, can a men's magazine be profitable in a country like Israel?
Shalom Israel!
And welcome to the Playboy family.
It is with great pleasure that I congratulate Playboy Israel on its launch.
Daniel Pomerantz was a prominent lawyer in the Chicago law community who one day realized he prefers living in Tel Aviv rather than in the Windy City. So he decided to make Aliyah and take with him a very famous American brand to Israel too.
There was nobody who was opposed to the idea that I knew. There were some people who thought it was a wonderful idea and they were excited and they couldn't wait to see it succeed. There were other people who said, well, you know, I think it's a great idea, but I just think that everyone else is going to be against it. There were people who just assumed that Israeli society wasn't ready. But as things started getting more real, as we started getting a little publicity and becoming closer to launching our edition, we started to realize that Israel really is ready for it. I hope it'll last at least as long as it's lasted in America, which is now 60 years and counting. We're in 30 countries. Editions such as the German one have been around since the 1970s. There are other editions such as Mongolia that just started last year. And we're just really happy to be a part of that tradition. I hope we'll see a lot of success for a very long time.
In the late 80s, entrepreneur and philanthropist Galia Albin brought struggling magazine Monitin and turned it into the Israeli version of Penthouse. However, reactions of some fractions in the Israeli society forced Albin to shut down Penthouse Israel shortly thereafter.
Very, very quickly, from 9,000 copies in Israel, Monitin Penthouse became 32,000. And I thought, flourishing, but a magazine can only live through advertising. And then I realized that if I want to approach Strauss or Tnuva, they need the kosher certificate. If I want to approach a car company like Volvo, they have an agreement with the government to provide the ministers with Volvo. They will not advertise. Anyone who had a little link to anything that is connected to the need of the religious sector would not advertise. What brought me to the breaking point, the behavior of the religious sector and the hypocritism of the religious sector was when they burned the publishing house, the Folit part of it. I didn't mean to bring Monitin Penthouse to Israel to annoy anybody. I realized that there is a section in Israel and there is enough market to enjoy it. But the violent behavior of some of the religious population brought me to sell it.
It seems Israel has a love-hate relationship with men's magazine, claims Dr. Ben-Baruch, who teaches a course on the subject at the College of Management in Rishon LeZion.
Most of the men magazines in Israel were published for a short time. They are quite rare. Personally, I don't know magazines that survived more than, let's say, 2 years or 3 years. To my mind, Israel is less and less open to new ideas, especially in the arena of erotics. If you look at the coalition in the government, the last coalition, most of the members of the parliament and most of the members of the government were religious. And in a way, we are, although we are far from Iran, we are not yet ruled by, rabbis. Israelis, especially in Jerusalem, you won't find magazines that sell body. I remember that Playboy was imported to Israel. They would take out the pictures in order not to offend the religious people here in Israel.
So the question on everyone's mind in the Israeli media is, could the Jewish state finally be ready for a real men's magazine?
We're Jewish and we will stay Jewish, but we're a country in the Middle East and we must blend in society. And if there is a need in a market, And today you can find everything on the internet anyway. Why not let enjoy such a beautiful magazine? I think Israel is going to change. I think a lot of people are speaking their mind. I think the Facebook now cannot just surrender to any extreme who would violate my right as a free citizen of Israel to read what I want, to eat what I want, to drive any day I want, and still be a proud Jew in my country.
Israel is a land that has contradictions. There's tradition, there's modernity, there's religion, there's fashion. There's room for all of these things in Israel. And what we found is that the country as a whole really is ready for Playboy to be a part of Israel's cultural landscape.
It still remains to be seen if Israel is open and liberal enough to embrace Playboy, because after all, most people buy the magazine only for the articles. For JN1, I'm Ron Jacobson in Jerusalem.